Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and thank you for joining this collaboration.
We don't believe there's responsible investing and irresponsible. It's just what you include in your analysis of investments. So taking into account valuation, taking into account quality of management in the markets, but also taking into account what we call ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance factors. All long-term investors must take these things into account.
But companies are now not just looking at shareholders, or at least they shouldn't be, but also what is their social capital, what is their environmental capital. And this breaks down, I guess, the silos within the sustainability discussion. Tracey and the organization hosted an RI forum, I think it was back in the first quarter of this year, and one of the panelists asked the audience, how many of you have a Provident or pension fund? And I think 90 out of the 100 people stuck their hand up. He then followed that up with a question saying, how many of you can name the top 10 or even the top 5 holdings in your pension fund? And I think maybe 3 out of the 100 hands went up.
Everyone will tell you that responsible investment means integrating environmental, social, and governance factors into your investment decision-making processes. And that's what you'll see on the web pages of every asset management company in the country. But that's been the case for 10, 15 years. What we ask is, what next? So you've been integrating these factors into your investment decisions, but nothing's changed. The performance of all the companies that we're talking about from an environmental and social point of view has not got better. In fact, it's got worse. So if you were really a responsible investor, you would be carrying through that integration of ESG factors into real-life changes on the ground.
We want to make sure that we have enough money for our members and our pensioners to retire on, because when it's all said and done, we've got these promises, which for us are liabilities. But we also want to make sure that they have a good enough world to retire to. That a world that's not polluted, where they don't have to spend their pensions on trying to gasp for clean air or buy bottled water, especially if they cannot relocate to cleaner places.
It's quite clear from our law that pension fund trustees have a fiduciary duty to be seriously considering the impacts of climate change in their investment decision-making process. It's quite a common refrain in South Africa where people say, well, we can't care about climate change because we've got so many other problems. But the point is that climate change is going to dramatically exacerbate all of those problems. So if we don't tackle it at the same time, then inequality is going to get worse.
I believe it needs to be in our investment beliefs, and each and every pension fund should have an investment policy statement that they submit to the FSCA. That investment policy statement, known as the IPS, is really the Bible of a pension fund. You put in your risk-return objectives and everything, asset liability, strategic asset allocation, as well as a section on investment beliefs. For us, we want to have a return, but still have transformation. We believe that transformation is part of that S part of ESG.
You've got to take action. You can't just speak. You have to take action, and you have to have a plan for how you're going to engage. And if the current executives of a company are not, are driving a company that is actually harming our society, because that's the other problem, of course. We factor in all the ways in which these companies grow the economy. We don't factor in any of the ways in which they damage the economy. We don't quantify or even think about those things, right? So it's about having a voice. It's about leadership. In my view, South African corporate, the corporate space, people are very wary of standing up and taking a stand on an issue in relation to another company. We've got to start taking a stand. You've got to start saying it's not acceptable for company X to be having such an incredibly negative impact on our society, even if they are generating great returns for their shareholders.
So we've started internally running sort of these RI assessments of our managers and extending our due diligence to include RI. But the important step we're taking is, firstly, it's not prescriptive. I think all these managers and all these fund managers have their own internal culture and their own ESG. They're different spectrums in terms of the ESG journey. So we're not trying to force our way of doing it on them. We realize we're very cognizant of the fact that it's very nuanced within the different fund managers. But what we've taken the stance is, we believe in responsible investment, and then by default, so should they. And the idea is we want to get all our managers that we work with up to a level that we're comfortable with.